Assalamualaikum and good morning, IB, to our respected guests, students, lecturers, and those who are watching online through our IIUMTV YouTube live. Maybe those who are still in your own mahalah, those who probably is back in their hometown. Hopefully not. Hopefully you guys don't skip classes, and I do hope those who are watching are not the same ones who are driving. Stay safe, everyone. Assalamualaikum. My name is Maghrib and I will be your host for today's podcast. Now, those who are currently watching on IIUMTV YouTube Live, you guys may be asking, where else can we watch this podcast? Well, you can also watch it on Com Interns IIUM Instagram Live. And currently, we are on our first podcast for today under the title of Build Your Online Presence, Personal Branding. And today is actually a special day. For those who don't know, it is a one-day campaign under the title of Unleashing Potential, Empowering Students in the Digital Age. And today, progress would not have went smoothly without our sponsors. So, a big thank you to SCAM, Driving Academy, and also Malaysian Community Foundation, MCCF, for being our main sponsors for today's program. For those who don't know, SCAM Academy is a driving academy institute located in Gombak, which is really near to us, and it is also, they provide us with free transportation service for those IIM students who are interested in joining their line of instructors, and also those who wishes to do their services. Their booth is at HS Square at the moment. Second is Malaysian Community Care Foundation, MCCF. It's an organization focusing on maintaining prosperity, unity and peace, and has organized various socio-economic development programs for the communities. Thank you for your meaningful contribution. Now, you guys may have already known our title, which is personal branding. Now, personal branding may have different definition and may vary based on those who are currently, I would say, how you describe yourself. Therefore, today we'll be covering a few areas which will be on building a strong image on social media and also how to have a good self-branding. So, without further ado, I'm sure you guys may have already feel tired listening to me in front of you. So let us introduce our guest, our special guest. So our first guest is, it is truly a great pleasure to introduce Mr. YB Syed Ahmad bin Syed Abdul Rahman Al-Haddad, better known as Altimet. Yes. Since joining the entertainment industry in 1999, Altimet has made his mark as an artist, composer, lyricist, and rapper. In addition to his artistic achievements, Altimet manages an artistic management company named 𝒙𝒑𝒍𝒐𝒓𝒆 Management, where he continues to shape and influence the music scene. His contribution to the industry are matched by his passion for cultural preservation and inspiring the next generation of creatives. Currently serving as a politician, Mr. Altimet's varied experience enriches our talk today on personal branding. And our second guest is Dr. Shafizan. Yes, our speaker, who is our own IIUM lecturer, Associate Professor Technologies Dr. Shafizan binti Muhammad from the Department of Communication Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman Kuliah of Islamic Living Knowledge and Human Sciences. Dr. Shafizan has authored numerous works on media and communication. Her research spans new media theory, political communication, health communication, and digital media literacy, with recent projects focusing on digital media skills of underprivileged children, digital parenting education, and more. Additionally, she served as both a communication consultant and principal researcher for the World Health Organization in Malaysia. Now that we have get to know with our guests, YB and also Dr. Shafizan, I believe that without further ado, let us continue with the first question. So I believe that those who are out there, when it comes to personal branding, self-branding, they may have a different definition of what it is. And I believe maybe Dr. Shafizan, as a lecturer, as a researcher, you may have your own definition of what personal branding is. So please, Dr. Shafizan, the floor is yours.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Maghrib. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. And thank you also to the internship student for inviting me here today. And I'm very honored to be beside 𝑰𝒑𝒐𝒂𝒊𝒕𝒚. I feel a little small here, but yeah, okay, trying to include some of my input lah. But to talk about branding, I think before we talk about personal branding, we must know what is branding in general lah. So branding to me is like both an art as well as a science of building and managing perception, where we use visuals ke, behaviors ke, messages ke, to create certain identity. So I think originally lah, branding is a term we use in advertising, in marketing. Okay, we associate it with products because products are inanimate. They have no value because a shoe is just a shoe without a brand. Right, right. Macam shoe, just shoe. But once you put a brand in it, okay, then you differentiate it. Okay, is it Adidas ke, Nike ke? Once you have a brand, then suddenly it becomes expensive.
Oh yes, true.
Why does it become expensive? Because there's value that we add on, and this value is usually abstract lah. Because the feeling of luxury ke, you feel confident wearing it. So branding is that, putting an identity lah to something. Okay, and once you have a brand, then you can set yourself apart. Okay, the product you can differentiate. Okay, from an Adidas, from a cheaper shoe, or if you go luxury, okay, you differentiate between what your Manolos and your Louboutins ke. Okay, some things that I don't wear lah, obviously. Alright, but obviously this is what we mean as branding lah, adding value as well as setting things apart. Okay, and then of course then it relates to personal branding. Okay, we see celebrities lah most of the time because celebrities also have a product. They are the product. They need to sell their music, their content, their film, and of course their own brand name. So we see that, for example, I think how celebrities brand like Lady Gaga. Right? When we talk about Lady Gaga, there's only one Lady Gaga. Okay, and we know her music, we know her inclinations, the image, the identity that she puts forth. So I think that is the added value that sets her apart, that she is Lady Gaga. She's different from others, that her brand is strong. Okay, and then of course lah, there's so many other politicians also requires branding. And obviously I think the ultimate brand is Altimet lah. Alright, I think it would be interesting if YB can share with us later on, right? Okay, how did he come up with this idea of having a brand name, Altimet? Okay, so I think the key is branding is like that, to add value, but we relate it to product and celebrities. But what about like everyday people like me? Okay, or most of us. Okay, do we need personal branding? Maghrib, do you need personal branding?
I feel like there is a need.
Okay, so the answer is obviously it depends. Because is there something that you want to put forth? Alright, is there the need for you to be different from others, and is there a need for you to be visible? Then if there is, then we need to talk about this personal branding lah, where you are able to design, create, manage, and put your best self forward. Okay, how you want people to perceive you. And of course with the availability of digital media, social media, it becomes so much easier. Alright, so much easier that you can create. We don't have to have a team to create your own personal brand. Yeah, so I think that's my take on this lah.
I see. And you mentioned about how everyone has a decision of making their own personal branding, which is how they portray themselves. So does it mean that every single one of us is currently like building our own personal branding without us realizing it, or is it something that we need to realize that okay, I am putting forward an image that I want others to see me as?
Okay, that's a good question because we are all on social media. We are all online. Okay, and sometimes we feel like whatever we're putting forth, that's our brand.
Yeah.
But I think that to have a successful brand, it has to be well designed. There has to be well intentioned. That it has to be goal oriented. So I wouldn't say that everybody can suddenly have a personal brand. It has to be worked on.
I see.
Yeah.
Like to create a strong personal brand.
Yes.
I see. And it is truly interesting when you mentioned about branding, and I believe that the asas lah is brand. Brand, which is like each brand has its own name, and when it comes like you have a basic t-shirt, you have a college shirt, and you would buy it for like 10 ringgit, and suddenly if you put a polo logo and that's it, like it increases so many, like it became higher the prices.
Yeah.
Yes. And Dr. Shafizan, thank you so much. And I believe Dr. Shafizan also mentioned about the name Altimet, which I believe that it is truly a really strong personal branding, and maybe we can touch first on YB's definition of personal branding, and maybe we can learn more about how Altimet became a name. Yes.
I think I can add on to what Doctor said. Branding is the management of perception, and everyone has a perception of you.
I see.
You know, everybody in your life that you come in contact with has a perception of you, and it's not always the same perception.
I see.
You know, it's not always the same perception, and it's not always a perception that you agree with or disagree with. It's never 100%, right? So that's where branding comes in, because branding comes into, like Doctor said, is the management of the perception, right? If you feel that you don't need to manage the perception of people, that is actually sometimes you can call it as a form of branding.
I see.
You know, and there are people that who they do manage the perception of themselves, but they say they don't. But actually they do. That is a form of branding. Aku tak kisah apa orang cakap.
But still.
That actually is from, you know, so whatever it is, however you choose to approach the people's perception of you, whether you care, you don't care, you actively or you passively do it, you must be ready for the consequences.
I see.
That's what I think. And let's give some examples. Right, Maghrib.
Yes.
Maghrib.
Yes.
To doctor, you are your brand is that of a student.
Yes.
To the people in your course, you are somebody who's taking the same course. You are a friend. When you go back home, you know, you are a son.
Son, yes.
You know, soon one part of your brand is when you go home, you will be a husband or father. So it's you, up to you. You want to manage this brand or not. I'm not Altimet at home.
No,
I'm Baba at home.
Yes.
You know, and you need to for that. You know, and again, it goes back to perception. My children don't think I'm cool.
Oh wow!
Because your father are never cool, right? But their friends think, oh, your father Altimet very cool. You know, so that is to touch on that. As far as Altimet goes, it's it comes from you know, whoever inspires you are. Now one of my inspirations is this hip hop composer and producer named DJ Premier. Right, so Premier, when you look at Premier is the first or the best synonym, right? And another synonym for being the best is Altimet, but it's also antonym, because Altimet is the latest. It's not the first, you know. So I took that because my name is Ahmad. Ahmad is a root word for Muhammad, and Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is the last prophet. So it's the last, is the latest. The latest prophet yang paling mutakhir tu, the latest version is Muhammad, and is also the last. So I took that, and then because to contextualize it in Malaysia, I asked if you were a student, if you were a child in standard 1, darjah 1, how would a standard 1 child spell Altimet? It's like that. 𝒙𝒑𝒉 Okay, let's go with that.
I see.
There's a short story.
I see. That's really interesting. Especially the part where how would it be easier for those who like Asia Altimet you mentioned. And especially YB mentioned that different types of personal branding, like YB as a father, as a musician, and now as a political figure. And I would like to say that I would like to ask more towards asking. Now, YB, you have gone through so many stages, from becoming a musician and now a political figure, and managing, like, changing from a musician to a political figure. Those, like, the process of changing the personal branding. How did you like change the way people's perspective towards you?
Okay, management of perception is an ongoing process. It's an ongoing process because when you add time to, you know, managing of perception is a relationship between you and whoever you want to manage the perception with. When you add time, the relationship will change, right? I'm sure, like, you know, for you, your relationship with your parents change as you grow. So it's not a one-off thing. You know, I think one of the core aspects of branding, I think Doctor will agree with me, is consistency. You know, so you have istiqamah is important. So it's a process. Sometimes is like Sometimes you require more effort, so it's a bigger rebranding. Sometimes it's less, so it's fine-tuning it.
I see.
It's fine-tuning it. So now what I'm going through is actually more of a rebranding. You know, it takes a while. It's not going to happen overnight. You know, there's a rule of thumb in advertising. It takes about 10 years to establish a brand.
I see.
This is advertising in advertising, right? So I'm in maybe the third year. So there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work to do, and it's a constant thing. It's a constant thing. But in music, I was forced to rebrand before, going from being in a group to being a solo artist.
I see.
You know, so that actually is similar. You know, because you don't start from scratch, because there's already a preconceived perception of you. Oh, he used to be in a group, or he used to be a musician, now he's a politician. So you are starting from a bit of a negative, relatively speaking, you know. But I think it's a great opportunity for you to actually shape people's perception of you.
I see.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting you mentioned like currently you're in your third year of process of changing your brand, and relatively like usually it takes a lot longer. And I believe that for those who follow 𝒍𝒐𝒄 on Instagram, you have two different Instagram accounts, which is Altimet and also Sabah and 20. So that is, I would say, one of the process of rebranding. I see. And maybe you can pass on to Dr. Shafizan. So Doctor, the process of changing from two different brands, is there like a strategy or a way we have, like it would help in creating that new image? Because especially nowadays, it is, I would say, it is quite easy for someone to have a bad reputation or a bad personal branding. And if, let's say, those out there may have like gone into that trouble, is there like a strategy to make it easier, to smooth the process?
All right, thank you, Maghrib. Okay, just to start to relate to what YB mentioned just now, because you asked about strategies, right? I think strategies, there's obviously a lot. Strategies ke, methods ke, you open any textbook ke, online, guru ke, they can tell you that. But I would say it's a serious thought process. Because I like how YB mentioned just now, to come up with the name Altimet tu pun it has meaning. It's not just macam, I think this is a glamorous name, I want to use it. You know, and then because it has a significance, so I think that is why YB can carry it well. I was thinking also like, actually, you know, if YB is Altimet, what would my hip hop name be? Okay, probably Coffee Mate. Do you guys know Coffee Mate? They don't know YB because this is different generation. Okay, yeah, but it's a serious thought process lah. Okay, and like I said just now, strategy ke, you can open any books, they tell you one by one, step by step, and there's so many tools that you can use. So I think you have to see it as like you know, tending to your digital garden lah. You know, how do you tend your garden, right? You have to water it, okay, takes the weed off, okay, letak baja and things like that. So to maintain that, what we call it, strong personal brand, okay, you have to do all these processes. Like YB mentioned just now, consistency. And this is not easy lah. Okay, as we know lah, in Islam, istiqamah, solat pun kita susah, right? Okay, to maintain all these things, it takes a lot of work. So in terms of strategies, like I've mentioned just now, right, there are many ways to do it. But I am more interested to what you mentioned just now in terms of positive image lah, positive brand, because it's so easy lah. Okay? To talk about, as we can see today, a lot. Sometimes lah, there are those who what we call it, choose to take the shortcuts. You know, to use negative tactics or strategies that are sometimes disrespectful, going for gossips or going for controversies. So those are usually would definitely be short term lah. And I think when we talk about personal branding, we're not looking for short-term visibility. It has to be sustainable. So I think the key is strategizing for positive branding. I think that's very important, because I don't believe lah in this what we call it statement, even bad promotion is good promotion. I don't think we should go for that. Okay, you need to set yourself apart. If you have a positive brand, meaning that you have something to contribute to the field, then it will be a long-lasting and sustainable brand. So I think that would be the key strategy, looking for a strong, positive brand that you want to, what we call it, rely on.
I see. And Dr. mentioned, I would like to mention the first part, which is Coffee. Oh no, not coffee. Ultimate. Yes. Yeah. Before, like after the coffee mate, which is ultimate, which is having a deep, I would say, a strong connection and a strong perspective towards our own branding. Like knowing that, okay, ultimate is my personal branding and I have to make sure that it is protected in the best way. It's almost the same as attending a garden. If you actually care about the garden, you wanted to provide a really nice garden, then you will take care of it better. And before we went for live, I did have a short conversation with Shafizan about nowadays how social media influencers, they are trying to approach the way of, I would say it's a negative personal branding, where they would try to become viral in short term. Like let's say maybe influencers out there, they are currently like slowly receiving less views. They will do something that is, I would say, disrespectful just to become viral. And would that also be considered as a strategy, like a negative strategy for personal branding? Because it does put them in the spotlight, right, Doctor?
Yes, of course that's a strategy, but like I said, short-term strategy.
Short-term strategy.
It's a short-term strategy, and it's lack of consideration of what the implication in the long term. So of course, even if you are social media influencers ke whatever ke, we need to have some values included lah. So what are you bringing in? Okay, if you just get attention, that's all you will get lah, attention. So I think that's my take on it lah. I'm not sure. YB lagi tahu lah. Because I tak ada. I'm not influencer.
Coffee mate after this. TikTok and later. So maybe if YB, maybe you have any take on same topic question.
Okay. If your objective is to get more attention and you use controversy, it's like he said, is like doctor said, is a short-term strategy, betul. But to me, it's not negative, because if you use the strategy to get what you want, how can it be a negative strategy? It's a strategy, full stop. You know. But what happens is, if you take that route, normally you will have to escalate.
I see. You have
to get the same results. You know, because it's like, it's a hit lah, you know. Like you have you know, there's a reason why when the song becomes popular, they call it a hit. Because it delivers a dopamine hit to the listener and to the singer, because the singer says, oh, suddenly everybody like my song. You know, and the short-term strategy is to chase the hit with another hit. But the long-term strategy is to just write good songs. Maybe one will become a hit lah, you know. So you will have to, if you try to chase hits, you know, and we see this in you know, you talk about hits, even when in drug addicts, they call it hit. I need a hit. I need a hit. Why? Because you have to keep chasing the hit, right? And then when you talk to drug addicts, and there's a similarity here when it comes to marketing yourself using controversy, nothing will be equal to the first hit.
I see.
That's why drug addicts keep coming back, you know, because the first one is the sorry to say this, you know, is the highest high. After that, they will forever chase the first high, and they will tell you, I will never get the same feeling as the first one, right? So you will have to escalate. If you are talking about drug addiction, it will be taking higher doses. If you're talking about branding yourself, you have to escalate lah. You know, if you be slightly disrespectful, you get this much attention. Then in order to get the same amount of attention, I got to be even more disrespectful, even more disrespectful, even more disrespectful. After that, where does it go? Because at some point you reach a breaking point where you go too far, and your audience rejects you, or the people you are branding yourself to rejects you, say, hey, cannot mind, this is too far. I see. You know, so it's like a short-term strategy, and you need to find you need to be very careful if you choose to go down that path, right? There are right now there are some social media figures whose brand was dressing immodestly.
I see. Yes.
Right. So they get the attention that they want. So then they have to escalate lah. I have to be every time I post, I have to be a little bit more immodest, a little bit more immodest, a little bit more immodest, and then it comes a point where it doesn't bring the returns because they are professional influencers, right? So at one point, the returns in terms if you use the water, if you use the kayu ukur, if you use the benchmark of income, it becomes less. There's diminishing returns, you know. So what they do, and you will see this is in the West, they pivot, they rebrand.
I see.
So they rebrand and they find religion. So kita husnuzon, kita kata alhamdulillah lah.
Yes.
You know, but some of them after, you know, they pivot and, you know, of course it's like, wow, you switch 180. You know, from left you go to right, so they get the attention back again. And then, you know, so you will see, oh, it's great, you know, you know, and they get attention, and, you know, again, it's a dopamine hit. So let's say that particular influencer, they found Islam. Oh, it's great, you know, I took my shahada. I'll say, okay, so then the fans will be like, oh, so when you gonna start praying? When you gonna, you know, so then I have to say more because they follow the pattern. They know, right? So then eventually they will say something that is a little bit too much. Oh, I used to pray 5 times a day. Now I pray 10 times a day. You know, I can use this example here because we are in IIUM lah, you know. So you understand. I think almost everybody watching or everybody's here are Muslim, so you can understand the implications when a Christian says I pray 10 times a day, when a Muslim says I pray 10 times a day, the context is different, you know.
Yes.
10 times a day. Kau masak apa ni? You know, but so these are the things. If like you say, it's a short-term strategy.
I see.
You know, if you study strategy in things like war and stuff, things like that, you know, changing your tactics too often is bad. Using the same tactics for too long also is bad. You know, and you have to kena bijak lah. Memikir controversy. That's why if you notice, for me, I chose not to do that.
I see.
You know, I don't play the gossip game, right? Back then, kan, and there is a price to pay, you know, because if people be like, hey, okay, he's not that famous, because we don't see him, you know. So this is personal. Maybe I'm taking too much time. Sorry, this is personal. This one, we deal with Malaysia. They don't have a lot of music journalists. There's a lot of entertainment journalists. Kan? So they will ask you, Altimet, you ada girlfriend? I said, no, I don't have girlfriend. Why you don't have girlfriend? I don't have girlfriend because I'm married. Oh, can we take pictures of your wife? I said, no. Can we come? Can we do a story about your home or your children? I'm like, no. Oh, susah lah, Altimet. It's hard for us to promote you, right? So I'm as the person, I'm presented with a choice.
I see.
Right? Do I give? You know, do I pay the price, you know, and get a little bit more exposure by exposing my personal life, or do I pay the price of getting less exposure but protecting my personal life?
I see.
Dia kata susah, we want to write, you will appear less in media if you don't play this game, you know. But I got to ask myself, am I willing to pay the price of that or not, of getting less? I say I'm willing to pay that price because I don't want to be known for that. I want to be known for my songs. That's why you see some people in we are talking about creative industry, kan. Some people are known for the stories, some people are known for their work. Which one do you want to be? This one I learned from Dato' Roshamno. Kan, you don't know, we don't know. We don't, kan, we don't know. The only stories we heard about his family is suddenly dia punya anak tunang. And there some people, bila dia kahwin? Dia bukan dia kahwin tau. Dia punya anak dah nak kahwin. So he's like, bro, he told me, bro, don't do all this. Just be known for your work. If you're confident in your work, you're confident in what you have to offer, be known for your work. Protect your family. So when you go back, you have a place, a safe space where, you know, you can be sane. Dia kata, because our industry is insane. I think you know this. I said, yeah, I know, bang. I know. Saya tahu, bang. So that was good advice from Dato' Roshamno.
Wow. I believe that is such
short-term strategy. Short-term strategy.
Especially, it's really interesting when YB mentioned about that hitting that one part where, especially like as an influencer, Like let's say you have such a low view, such a low number of followers, and then suddenly you did something that is like I would say controversial, and then you had that one hit higher, right? And then you would try to continue trying to get that level. Yes.
It's dopamine.
True. And you can't get the same thing because the difference of like you being down there and then suddenly reaching that top and then suddenly like trying to achieve the same feeling, it would be hard. But what's more interesting is the part of rebranding from becoming someone that's like negative, I would say like a different kind of branding to like another new way or like a new image, yeah, a new persona. It's really interesting, especially I believe that most important is that my generation, this new generation TikTok users, Instagram users, I would say this new Gen Zs, they would try to do anything to achieve that viral or trying to achieve that number of followers, because currently we have TikTok, which is such an easy platform to become viral, to become famous. Just one simple video and you would have like you would have been up there. And I myself, I use TikTok as well. I use it in a way to create my own personal branding. And I've seen so many different people on that app, and some, I would say it's not that they don't have their own creativity or point of, like, I would say, information that they want to portray, but it's more about, okay, there's like, I have a beautiful figure, I have a beautiful face, and people like seeing that. And that continues moving on into like something that is worse in the end. So we have seen from YB's perspective, and I believe that Dr. Shafizan, you have a different perspective, especially like in the intellectual area. And like, let's say for YB, you mentioned that in your area, it is all about how we have less music journalists, and yet it's more about the entertainment journalists, and where they would try to create so many dramas, try to twist so many words. And maybe for Dr. Shafizan, in the intellectual area, where you have achieved such a high reputation with research and many more, like if, let's say for you as a lecturer, as a researcher, you create your own personal branding, and does it mean that what you're trying to do is try to push more of research, or is there like a way for you to be known in this area? Not the entertainment way, but the intellectual area.
Yeah, of course,
yes.
of course. All right. Yeah, I find it very interesting lah with YB's sharing, talking about it, relating it to drugs and things, because it's coming from experience. So YB is one who can really walk the talk lah. For me, probably just talk the talk. Just talk the talk only lah me.
Can.
But yes, like I mentioned just now, you have the celebrity level, and then you have the everyday people level, and the professional level. Okay, in academia, for example, okay, probably the most boring profession. Okay, nobody wants to actually follow you in terms of that. But do I need personal branding? Yes, because we focus on the goal. The goal is different. Like for myself, the goal is to promote my research and to promote my work. So I'm not targeting the public in general. So I go to places where they may be interested with what I am doing. So I think in academia, we have places where we go like, what we call it, Google Scholars, where they rank you. And then where we go to ResearchGate, where we have a network of academics. So this is something that everyone has to know lah. What is your target audience? Who's your target audience? What kind of brand do you want to put forth? Now, like I've mentioned just now, right? As a researcher, and as a researcher, my research is in parenting, digital parenting, new media. So I'm not going to target all academics. So my circle is small, but it has to be a small but significant circle. A brand that is good enough where they will find me to know more about what I am doing. So yeah.
So this personal branding revolves around that group that focuses more on the research as well.
Yeah, so I think it will be most focused on the goal lah. What goal do you want with this brand that you want to create for yourself? And then, of course, even though my target audience is smaller, but that consistency, that effort, continuously creating content too, you have to still do it. Even if your circle is smaller, because you always have to maintain that engagement lah with your audience. So mine would be probably boring stuff, articles, I update things, what I do, but it's good enough for my audience. Good enough to maintain my brand.
I see.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that YB and Dr. mentioned is about continuously putting information, continuously putting musics out there for maintaining that image, that brand. And maybe I believe this question maybe is more towards YB, which is on the music industry. So I would say that some, especially for those who are just about to start their career, about to start their own personal branding, it is, I would say, quite hard in a way because there are already these huge, these big names out there. So what can you suggest to these new starters on how they can put themselves out there, being able to start to climb the ladder, to create a bigger personal branding, to create that brand of a name when it has like all these giants up there?
Okay, first of all, you need to change your perspective. If you are this kind of person, it's not harder, it's actually easier.
Oh, I see.
It's easier. It's easier because you have more space to define yourself. Okay, demi ibarat dia apa tahu? Branding is you're painting a picture. So if you're new, your canvas is blank.
I see.
Okay, so let's take an established artist. Okay, let's take one of I always like to, my favorite example is Datuk Siti Nurhaliza.
I see. Okay.
Her canvas is quite full, bro.
Yes.
You know where she's trying to think that where else can I, mana lagi aku nak lukis ni? So don't see it as a problem. Is challenges lah. For her is a challenge. For somebody new also is a challenge, right? We know of people who feel trapped by their brand. You know, they cannot do. Sometimes you want to do something new. Your target audience don't this one doesn't respond so well, or don't like it, or you know, and things like that. So I think first of all you need to look at it as a great opportunity. Second of all, if you want to climb the ladder, decide what ladder you want to climb, and decide what price you are willing to pay.
I see.
You know, I'm not the one to judge. If you want to do controversy, or you want to do collaborations with creatives that I don't like, I don't judge. It's all on you, because at the end of the day, the one that has to live with the consequences or the results, whether be it positive or negative, is yourself. Is yourself. So I think there are a lot of ways, there are a lot of websites, there's a lot of books that you can learn, but you know, it will all boil down to the same thing. You know, decide who you are, decide who you wanna send your message to. Again, consistency in messaging. You know, deciding what platform. You know, maybe at the start you have the same content in all the platforms, but at some point you will have to diversify. You know, senang cerita macam ini. The caption you put on Instagram will not get the same effect if you copy paste onto Facebook.
I see.
I know this generation tak ada lah. This generation there's no Instagram, there's no Facebook. I know.
Mungkin ada Facebook tapi tak pakai dah.
But it's different. It's different, and you will find based on your target audience and on yourself. Is a two-way relationship. You know, like for me personally, I being a rapper, I write my own lyrics. So the platform, the social media platform that I like to use the most is Twitter. Which is going through a big rebrand until today, even though it's called X. Until today, everybody still calling it Twitter. Kan? And what do? I don't send an X. You know, do I send a tweet on X? Maybe it's still called sending a tweet. Yeah. You know, kan? So, and I don't like. I'm not a fan of visuals.
I see.
Yeah, like, because it's writing lyrics, it's listening to music. You know, so as a result of that, I don't like doing photo shoots. I don't like posting on Instagram. You know, I don't like shooting music videos. But if you put me in the studio, I can be there all day. You know, like sometimes you know, before this, sometimes dengan Sona One tu more than 24 hours in the studio is nothing for us. You know, tak apa, order makan.
Wow.
You know,
juga.
there. Yes. You know, and I met people like this. My friend Johan, he's at Hot FM now, DJ. Kan? So when he goes for photo shoot, he has to do it. It's part of his contractual obligations. So he will tell the guy, okay, I have 3 poses for you, and then I'm done.
Wow.
So I will do one pose, you take picture, you tell me to change, I change, you tell me to change again, and I'm done. You know, so because he doesn't like it. But when you look at it, you know, he is in radio. There's no visual element.
Yes.
So why is he in radio? Because it suits his character.
Yeah, I see.
You know, so you have to decide. You know, where do you want to go? I want to be on TikTok. Do I want to be on YouTube? What kind of content? Is it specialized? You know, is it longer format or shorter format? And things like that. These are things that you should consider. You know, where you want a message, what kind of message, how consistent you are. Let me give another example. Podcast. Let's say podcast is a form of media. Right? One of the biggest podcasts in the world is Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, from the start, he established there's not going to be a fixed time, a duration. There's not going to be a fixed release schedule. It's not going to be once a week, once a month. I will release whenever I want to release. Suka hati. It's a suka hati format. Right? So because he established that as part of his brand, if he doesn't come up with a podcast episode for weeks, the fans are like, okay, never mind, I will wait. I will wait. But there are some people, and we see some YouTube creators when they post consistently every week, once a week, and they go on holiday or they go on or they are sick and they don't post, their fans will criticize them. Their fans will criticize them. You know, and there are a lot of examples of this of branding lah. There was one time I did a show in Melbourne for Astro. So I have a friend in Melbourne, and Melbourne ni banyak cafe tau. So there's this one coffee cafe, kan, outside of the coffee dia ada temperature dengan barometer. Temperature and barometer, kan, and it's not tak boleh duduk, they take away. You order drink and you leave. So this guy, dia punya brand is I'm a coffee punya artisan. Macam savan tau. So he be making his coffee and people are lining up. Then every 10-15 minutes he will go out, he will look at the temperature and the barometer. And then sometimes he's like, the weather's not good, it's going to affect my coffee's flavor. Tutup bro. Doctor, dia tutup. Tutup. No, today my coffee is not going to be nice. I cannot sell to you. Tutup. And he set the expectation, right? And he set the expectation. And because that's his brand, the people who are lining up don't even get mad. Don't get, okay lah, balik cari coffee tempat lain lah. So that is the brand. Is it true or not? I don't know, bro. Because I don't drink coffee to the point where I can taste different if the weather change. If the weather change like this, if the weather is hot, I drink iced coffee. If the weather is cold, I drink cold. You know, kan? But that is part of his brand, and once you establish the brand, people will accept. People will accept. These are examples.
True. It's interesting, especially, I think it all relates back to having a blank canvas, especially for someone who is about to start. And I guess macam when you have a blank canvas, you basically can search your own personal branding, and it is important from the start for you to decide. Because especially if you're someone you feel like, okay, I'm going to start posting every single week, and then once I'm famous enough, I'm going to stop, maybe once a month. That is also a change for a personal brand. And it's going to take quite some time as well. I see. And it is really interesting knowing that at the first, it is most important for you to make the decision. And maybe we can change to Dr. Shafizan. So making the decision and starting from the start, it is really quite, I would say, for someone such as me, myself, I quite had a problem at the start of deciding which niche, which area. So will it actually slow the progress, or is it okay for me to go from one area to that, I would say niche area, right? One area and then change to another area only until I start to realize, okay, there are actually people watching me, or should I maintain? Because we mentioned about maintaining, continuing that personal brand. So should I continue that personal brand, that branding, or should I try different areas and then see where people actually like me in that area?
Okay, alright. I think that's an interesting question lah, kan? Because should you stay, okay, or you should make, when do you make the decisions to change? I think it will go back to your own intention and desire lah. Alright, if you're passionate about that one thing, okay, then you have to stick to that one thing lah. I am sure that coffee person is very passionate.
Yes.
Right?
Too passionate.
Too passionate.
Right? So that's the way. But if you are looking for something else, okay, and you think that, you know, this is not working and you need to go to another one, then of course that is an acceptable decision. But that decision must be made based on significant conditions lah, that you have done enough ke,
good reason.
You have a good reason lah. So I think to change ke apa tu is a decision that can be made. But with regards to all of this, I think the most important is you have to have authentic lah. Authenticity, apa yang you nak bawa sebenarnya. Kalau you tak ada something nak bawa tu, you keep changing. And having to have to be able to set expectations, to have brand so strong that people wait for you. Okay, you must definitely have something that you bring. It's not just your name. Kan, that coffee maybe must be a really good coffee. Okay, that's what I think. You know, you must. It's not a brand that is just about abstract ke, glamour ke. You have to bring something. Okay, like I think, for example, like YB, in terms of politicians and also in terms of musicians, I think what I like most is that YB, I think you're a social critic, because his songs, okay, bukannya typical. So because YB has that things that apa nama content, okay, that passion, that this is what people expect from Altimet. They don't expect glam, right? They expect a song that is significant. That siapa lah nak kena kutuk pula, for example, from this song. But but it's a social critic. So the same thing, I think, even for students lah, like all of you, right? Mostly you're students, okay, you're going to embark in your professional career. What is it that you intend to bring in your profession? It's not just visibility, okay? If you want to do journalism, okay, you have to have passion for journalism lah. What is it you apa nama, your interest? So I think authenticity too is very important lah.
And especially changing from one to another niche is also there is also a risk that you also need to take. And I believe that maybe if someone who kept on changing means that they don't actually value their brand, but they value more about the views and value, okay, I'm going to bring more people towards the content that I produce, instead of I'm going to produce content that I actually wanted to produce. And in some ways that would stop at some point because you don't have that consistency, right? And maybe YB, do you have any take on the same issue?
What's the issue, sorry, again?
Changing from one niche to another.
Okay, changing.
Because I believe, YB, you have changed from one. But what about those who are about to start? They change non-stop. Yes.
It's. Let me see. It's your choice. Like I said, like it's your choice. You live with the consequences. Because if people cannot figure out what you are, you know, then people don't know how can I interact with this guy, or how can I help him, or how can he help me, or she help me. You know, so you should be. There is positives to being consistent. There's also positives to trying out new things.
I see.
You know, and we see in all fields there are people who, you know, everybody falls in between these two extremes. You know, we have people who they don't deviate over and over again. You know, I know exactly what I'm gonna get. Like if I walk into a fast food restaurant, I know exactly what I'm gonna get. And there's this one, sorry, I forgot what it was. Kalau you pergi sushi restaurant and it's the special menu, that means you leave it up to the chef to decide that particular sushi set. So it's up to his creativity. You know, so okay, you leave it up. Okay, whatever sushi you want to make for me is, you know. So it depends. It depends. And you again, you have to live with the consequences.
The risk.
You have to live with. You have to live with the risk. You know, we have some people who every time creatives are, you know, who different. Or we have academics who are multidisciplinary academics. Kan, you know, we have some that's consistent. That means kalau he's talking about water technology, everything. And so when he speaks, you know, everybody knows. Okay, this guy, he will publish a paper every year, or this guy every 5 years aja. So when his paper comes out, everybody like, it must be something, because he, you know, you don't see him for 5 years, and then he comes out, he publish one paper, and you know, and it changes the perception of you know, that particular field. It doesn't affect people so much. People outside don't pay so much attention, but internally within that field, I be like, dah 5 tahun ni. He's going to come. What is he going to talk about this time? Is he going to talk about filtration? Is he going to talk about packaging of water? What is he going to talk about? We're going to see, because I need to pay attention. And there's one that every year. Okay, so every year maybe his impact or the effect on his field is a bit more incremental. I know it helps shift the field, or shift that particular field of knowledge bit by bit by bit. So it's really up not just to the people within the field, but to yourself as well.
I see. So I would say if you do change, there is a risk, but then at the same time, maintaining that personal brand means that you have higher quality. Yes, more quality in that field. Okay, I believe that we have already, I would say, reached the last question at the end. So maybe the last question is, maybe any lessons that Dr. or YB have learned from your experience with personal branding. Maybe we can start with Dr. Shafizan.
Okay, lessons that I have learned. I think I wouldn't say that I have a very big personal branding and things like that, but what I would probably recommend is that when we talk about personal branding, it's not just putting your name or creating your persona. I also believe that there needs to be contributing factor, and there's also, when you have a personal brand, you have to have a higher, what you come up with must have a higher meaning lah. It's not just for attention, or not just, oh my God, that's the worst thing that could happen. I'm so sorry. I thought I put silent already. Alright. So yeah, I think that would be having a higher meaning lah. When you have this brand, what is the main purpose? Okay, for me, maybe academia, work, but more than that is the intention to contribute. Okay, the intention to probably to expand the knowledge. So these are higher meanings that that will motivate you to maintain this whatever personal brand that you have created for yourself.
I see. Okay, thank you so much, Doctor. So having that, I would say, perspective towards our own branding, that is the most important part. Yes. So maybe you can continue with YB.
Okay. I think no matter what field you're in, you should be you should be cognizant of your personal brand. Because sometimes your branding can be a leverage for you to get for you to achieve a bigger impact, or to get to your goals faster. There is this like, again, in the music industry lah, right? Objectively speaking, nobody can say Datuk Siti Nurhaliza sing better than Altimet. Nobody can say it because it's objective. I'm picking is an extreme case because if it's music is creative, it's a lot of subjective. It's not macam maths. Maths is okay lah, 1 + 1 everybody have to say is equal to. Itu pun sekarang ada orang cakap 1 + 1 is something else. Kan, right? Objectively speaking, But let's say Altimet is when it comes to offering a service in entertainment, let's say 3 songs is 10,000 ringgit. Let's say. If you have 10,000 ringgit, you're not going to get Siti Nurhaliza for 10,000 ringgit. You need to have at least 5-6 times that. So what is the difference? If objectively you cannot say this guy sing better than this guy, it's the brand, right? We all drink water. We have in front. We can zoom in. We have mineral water here.
Yes.
Kan? Okay. How much is it?
Mineral water?
This particular one
this
ringgit, right?
I would say 1 ringgit.
Then we have the Fiji mineral water.
Oh yes.
Tapi Fiji punya, everyone is like is when it's processed is not touched by human hands.
I see.
Right or not? This one also not touched by human hands. No, it's all in the pipe. Kan? But what is the difference? That one is like 20, 30, 40, 50 ringgit. Kan? But what is the difference? The difference is the brand. Of course, there's cost also lah. This one is a plastic bottle. That one is a glass bottle. Kan, and all that. But the main difference that this one is the branding. So the brand is a leverage, or it can be a force multiplier for you to get to where you want to be. So if let's say like again, because doctor is academia kan. If you have your brand, You see, if you can get to a point where because of your personal brand, the whole field of study that you're in talk about you and say, hey, next month my paper coming out. Then the whole field like, hey, what is the paper going to be about? You know, because of your personal brand.
I see.
So it is important. You should be cognizant of it, even in your personal relationships. You know what is your brand as a son.
I see.
What is your brand as a father? You know, you have the prodigal son. You have the loyal son. You have the son. You know, he's not so bright, but he's very loyal. This one pandai tapi rebel. Ada. Yes. You know, this is stereotypes. But you have to think about it lah. Like I think about my brand as a father. As a husband, I think about my brand. How that relationship, the brand is sometimes it's in the middle. What do I project or what is received? So I think we should sometimes spend some time and think about it lah. It's not just social media. It's in interpersonal relationships as well.
In life as well.
Even intra relationship, your brand to yourself.
I see. And intrapersonal relationship, how we value ourselves. And I would say branding is about our value. How we value towards others, how we value ourselves itself. And I would say throughout today's podcast, we have gone through so many things. I believe that our viewers out there through YouTube Live or probably Instagram Live, you guys have also learned a lot. And I would like to thank our respected guests, our distinguished guests, YB and also Dr. Shafizan. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation for today's podcast. Thank you so much again. And to all of our audience, don't forget to follow our Instagram account, which is @IIUMTV and also @IIUM to get more information about today's campaign. Now, that is all from me. I am Maghrib signing out. Thank you so much, everyone. Assalamualaikum.